If you're starting on the marriage adjustment of status process, you need an immigration lawyer.
Or so many would have you believe.
Despite being immigration lawyers ourselves, we might be the first to tell you that so long as you don't have any complications in your case, you do not need to hire an immigration lawyer for this process.
We're going to break down exactly why you don't need a lawyer in this video.
But really quickly,
Definitely subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss an immigration update. But more than getting the latest update, we also strive to provide the most practical information to marriage immigration self-filers coming from our own personal experience with this process as an immigrant couple.
so I'm sure by now you've seen and heard it everywhere that you should get a lawyer to handle your marriage immigration.
But if that's true, then how did we handle this process without ever hiring a lawyer?
Or how about the many members of our marriage immigration method who have handled this process and are handling this process without having one either?
Like anything, there's a risk to not having a lawyer, and there are definitely circumstances where you should have one. But this process is totally doable on your own, and we're going to break down why.
First and foremost, super important point here, but you are not required to hire a lawyer when applying for a green card within the United States. If you have a straightforward case, are clearly eligible for the benefit you seek, and have no record of crimes or negative run-ins with immigration authorities, you can proceed all the way through to getting your green card without having to hire a lawyer.
Second, lawyers are no guarantee because they're just a source of curated information that they always guard and really don't want to freely share, and they will never give you any guarantees. If you've ever gotten on a consultation call with a lawyer, you may have noticed how unwilling they are to answer your questions or how protective they are of the information they've accumulated over the years. And not all lawyers are the same, but based on the feedback we're getting, this is a common trend.
That was the reason why we never hired a lawyer. It was obvious to us that they don't have the time or really desire to educate you on the process. And not knowing what to expect or what's going on is a serious source of anxiety that we struggled with throughout our journey.
And speaking of guarantees, no lawyer will ever tell you, yeah, I guarantee you will get a green card, just because in their experience, so many things can go wrong, and because ethically lawyers are prohibited from making such claims. I often see couples who believe they need to hire a lawyer to have a successful case, who then come back to us and thank us for all the information we provide, like this comment we received. So here's the message. Hello Margarita, I have been following you on TikTok and that was the platform I find your account. I'm currently in the process of getting my green card and waiting for my work permit. I had commented in one of your videos and asked if there's any possibility to expedite my work authorization. I do have a lawyer, but she's absolutely no help, so my husband and I have been taking this process just by ourselves. So you see, these people, they do have a lawyer, but they're still looking for some outside help.
And before we get into the other reasons you don't need to hire a lawyer, we would like to welcome you to attend our lives on this channel every Thursday, where we answer whatever questions you guys have regarding marriage immigration.
And we don't just answer immigration-related questions, but we also discuss the mental challenges that immigrants face throughout this process, since I'm an immigrant myself, and this process was beyond challenging for me.
And please let us know if you have any marriage immigration questions with a comment that we could address at our upcoming live.
As you can imagine, making this video isn't easy since we're lawyers ourselves, but we see an immediate need for a change in the legal industry, and that is why we're doing the work we're doing. The field of law hasn't changed in decades, and we can see that the old model simply does not meet the demands of immigration and immigrants going through this stressful and challenging process.
And by the way, if you had a positive or negative experience working with a lawyer or law firm, please share it in the comments as well. It really helps a lot of people out.
Okay, another reason why you shouldn't hire a lawyer is because you will do 80 to 90% of the work yourself anyway. And by involving a law firm, you are increasing the likelihood of error because of all the back and forth communication and sending all the important documentation and everything else.
Here's the truth. Your lawyer will not be able to come up with bona fide marriage evidence for you. No, they will simply give you their list, ask you to send them everything that you've got from that list. And they also won't be able to come up with your birth certificate or your marriage certificate, etc. All of this paperwork will have to be compiled by you, and from there you will have to send it to them. All they do from there is put it in a packet and send it to the USCIS.
But here's the thing, law firms also make mistakes, again, because of all the back and forth. Most of the time, it's not a lawyer who fills out the paperwork. It's a legal assistant or a paralegal or even an automated software for that matter. And mistakes in dates of birth and names are very common. These mistakes are crucial and very time-consuming, and here's why.
Right now, the USCIS is waiving a ton of marriage green card interviews, which you can watch a video about here. But since they're waiving these interviews, they just automatically send green cards to applicants. And when you receive a green card with a wrong name, sex, or date of birth, you're going to need to request a correction on your green card, which first costs money, and second, will take a very long time for you to get your green card replacement.
So here's how it goes. You get your green card and are very excited to be done with this whole thing, but then you need to worry about something else, and the resolution to your journey is unnecessarily delayed.
Here's another thing. Immigration law is notoriously insanely complicated, and it's run by government bureaucracy that receives less oversight and public scrutiny than you'd expect. But you don't need to worry about any of this.
If you have a straightforward case, all you're missing is properly curated step-by-step process on how to handle it yourself. You could sit down and figure it out on your own, but we've noticed that over time, the information you find on Google has become really outdated and frankly spammy.
It seems as though finding the right information is getting harder and harder, and you never have it all in one place. It's always you collecting bits and pieces of information all over the place. So it's extremely time consuming, and you're constantly left insecure as to whether you got everything 100% right. And that's exactly why we developed our marriage immigration method, where we guide couples through this entire process.
Keep in mind, we handled our own immigration pre-law school, and it wasn't easy. In fact, it was very stressful, and like every immigrant, I was so scared of making a mistake and literally losing my ability to stay in the US. Those worst case scenarios were on my mind literally 24/7. But that isn't a reality for couples inside our program who completely understand this process and know exactly what to expect. And this goes a long way in helping them achieve their immigration goals, but without them actually resenting the process.
Now, to the last reason why you do not need to hire a lawyer.
What you need to know about hiring a lawyer is that very often it will be extremely difficult to have much communication or direct access to them.
The reality is that lawyers are busy. They handle tons of different types of cases. They're working through asylum, family-based immigration, employment-based immigration, criminal cases, and so much more. This variety of work, along with the numerous clients that they have, make it really hard to get more access to them.
If you choose to hire a lawyer, you need to find one based on recommendations from people who went through the exact same process as you. Otherwise, you're just risking being disappointed and then unnecessarily worried throughout this process.
Again, we listened, and that's why we developed our method in a way where all of your concerns are addressed throughout the week, and all of your questions will be answered based on the resources that we share. Literally, the whole point is that we educate you on this entire process to remove the uncertainty, the fear, and anxiety from this entire equation.
You can apply to our method below, but until then, please give us a like and a subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next week with our new one.